The car drifted farther from the noise of Lagos nightlife, and with every passing second, the silence grew heavier. The bright neon lights faded behind them, replaced by long, empty roads lit only by weak street lamps. Zainab kept her eyes on the window, watching familiar surroundings disappear into places she didn't recognize. Her chest tightened as the realization settled in. This was not the usual route. Something about the stillness felt unnatural, like the city itself had gone quiet just for them. She shifted slightly, trying to remain calm, but her instincts refused to settle. Years on the streets had taught her to read situations quickly, and this one felt wrong. "This isn't where we're supposed to be going," she said, her voice steady but cautious. The man didn't react immediately, his focus fixed on the road ahead. When he finally spoke, his tone was calm. "Relax. You're safe." But Zainab didn't believe him. In her world, safety was never something you were told, it was something you felt. And right now, she felt anything but safe. Zainab slowly slipped her hand into her purse, her fingers brushing against her phone as she tried to think clearly. Her heartbeat had picked up, each second stretching into tension-filled silence. She had learned to survive by trusting her instincts, and they had never failed her. Right now, every part of her was warning her to be alert. This wasn't just another client, and this wasn't just another night. Something about this situation felt controlled, too calm, too planned. She glanced at the man again, studying him more closely. He showed no signs of impatience or desire, unlike the others she had met before. His calmness wasn't comforting, it was unsettling. "Where exactly are we going?" she asked, this time more direct. He didn't look at her. "You'll find out soon," he replied. That answer only made things worse. Zainab leaned back, her grip tightening on her purse. If anything went wrong, she needed to be ready. Because deep down, she knew, this night was no longer ordinary. The car slowed as they turned into a narrow road surrounded by tall, silent walls. Zainab's eyes scanned the area quickly, her unease growing stronger with every second. Ahead stood a large metal gate, closed and intimidating. Before she could say anything, it began to open slowly, as if someone inside had been expecting them. The sound of the gate echoed into the quiet night, sending a chill down her spine. This was not a hotel. This was not a place she recognized. As the car drove inside, the gate shut behind them with a heavy clang that made her flinch slightly. The compound was completely still, no voices, no movement, just silence. Zainab's hand tightened around her purse as she turned to the man. "Why are we here?" she asked, her voice sharper now. He parked the car and turned toward her for the first time, his expression calm but serious. "You said this is your last night," he said. Zainab froze instantly, her breath catching in her throat. Zainab stared at him, her mind racing as she tried to process his words. There was no way he could know that. She had never said it out loud, not to anyone. "I didn't tell you that," she said quickly, her voice tense. The man studied her quietly, as if her reaction confirmed something. "You didn't have to," he replied. "I've seen it before. The way you hesitate, the way you look at everything like you're done with it." His voice wasn't harsh, it was certain. Fear mixed with confusion as Zainab tried to understand him. How could a stranger read her so easily? She tightened her grip on her purse, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Who are you?" she asked. The man leaned back, his expression still unreadable. "Someone who knows this life," he said calmly. "And someone who knows not everyone gets the chance to leave it." His words hung in the air, heavy and unsettling. For the first time that night, Zainab felt something shift inside her, not just fear, but curiosity. The silence between them grew thick as Zainab watched his every move. Slowly, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small envelope, placing it carefully on the dashboard. Her eyes followed it instantly, her thoughts racing. Nothing in her life had ever been given freely. Every opportunity had always come with a cost, and this felt no different. "Take it," he said quietly. Zainab didn't move. Her instincts told her to be careful, but something about the moment held her in place. "What is it?" she asked, her voice low but steady. "Your way out," he replied. The words hit her harder than she expected. A way out? Just like that? It didn't make sense. Slowly, she looked back at him, searching his face for answers. "And what do you want in return?" she asked. The man met her gaze, his expression serious. "Just one thing," he said. In that moment, Zainab felt the weight of the choice in front of her. This wasn't just another night anymore, this was the turning point. Zainab stared at the envelope on the dashboard, her mind refusing to settle. The man's words echoed in her head, "Your way out." It sounded too simple, too clean for a life that had always been messy and painful. She had learned that nothing in Lagos came without a price. Every promise had a hidden cost, and every kindness had a shadow behind it. Her fingers trembled slightly as she leaned back into her seat. "Why me?" she asked softly. The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at her like he was measuring something deeper than her appearance. "Because you've already decided to leave," he finally said. That statement hit her harder than expected. It wasn't a guess, it was a certainty. Zainab hated how much his words made sense. She had already been planning her exit. The bag in her room, the small savings, the silent prayers she never said out loud, it was all part of her escape. But hearing it from a stranger made it feel exposed, real, and dangerous. "I don't trust people easily," she said firmly. The man nodded slightly. "Good. You shouldn't." That response surprised her. It wasn't defensive or manipulative. It was honest. For the first time, Zainab felt unsure whether her fear was warning her, or holding her back from something bigger. The car remained parked inside the silent compound. Zainab noticed something strange. The gate they came through had not opened again. There were no guards, no movements, no signs of life. It felt like the entire place was waiting. She looked at the man again. "Where are we exactly?" she asked. He finally stepped out of the car and walked around to her side. "A place where people start over," he said. His words were calm, but they carried weight. Zainab stepped out slowly, unsure whether she was walking toward freedom, or deeper into danger. The air outside the car was colder than she expected. The compound wasn't empty, it was structured, organized, almost like a private facility. Soft lights lined the walls, and distant buildings stood quietly in the background. It didn't feel like a trap, but it didn't feel like freedom either. Zainab followed him slowly. "This doesn't look like help," she said. The man didn't turn back. "Help rarely looks like what you expect," he replied. That sentence stayed in her mind as she stepped further inside, unsure of what she was becoming part of. They entered a small room with a single table and 2 chairs. The atmosphere was calm, almost too calm. The man gestured for her to sit. She hesitated before slowly lowering herself into the chair, still clutching her purse tightly. He sat opposite her. "Tell me something," he said. "If you had a real chance to leave your life behind, would you take it?" Zainab didn't answer immediately. The question wasn't simple. It wasn't about fear anymore, it was about identity. And she wasn't sure who she would be without her current life. Zainab finally spoke, her voice quieter than before. "Leaving sounds easy when you say it like that. But you don't know what it's like to survive with nothing." Her eyes dropped slightly. "Every choice I made was about survival. Not dreams." The man listened without interrupting. When she finished, he said, "Survival is not a life. It's just existence." That statement made her uncomfortable. Because deep down, she knew it was true. He placed a thin file on the table. Zainab looked at it but didn't touch it. "What is that?" she asked. "Your new beginning," he said. She slowly opened it. Inside were documents, training information, and something she didn't expect, an identity change option. Her breath caught. This wasn't just escape. This was transformation. Zainab pushed the file slightly away. "This feels too big," she said. "People don't just change their lives like this." The man leaned forward. "They do when they're given the chance." But fear started rising again inside her. Because opportunity like this never came without consequences. Somewhere in her mind, she wondered what she was stepping into. "What do you gain from this?" she finally asked. Her voice was firm now. The man paused. "Nothing," he said. But she didn't believe that easily. "People always gain something." He added, "I've helped others before. Not everyone accepts it." That answer didn't fully satisfy her, but it softened her suspicion slightly. Zainab looked down at the file again. Her old life felt heavy now, like a chain she hadn't realized she was still carrying. The idea of leaving everything behind, fear, survival, shame, was tempting. But the unknown in front of her was even heavier. She closed her eyes for a moment. One decision. That's all it would take. But she wasn't ready to make it. Zainab sat still, staring at the file as if it might disappear if she blinked. Her thoughts were loud, pulling her in different directions. One part of her wanted to grab the opportunity and run, to finally leave behind the nights that had taken so much from her. But another part whispered caution. Nothing in her life had ever come this easily. Why now? She looked up at the man, searching his face for answers she wasn't sure existed. "What happens if I say no?" she asked quietly. He didn't hesitate. "Then you walk away, and your life continues the way it always has." His response was simple, but it carried a truth she couldn't ignore. There would be no second offer. This was her moment. Zainab picked up the file again, her fingers moving slowly over the pages. She saw training programs, job placements, even accommodation details. It was more than an escape, it was a structured path forward. Something she had never had before. Disappear if she blinked. Her thoughts were loud, pulling her in different directions. One part of her wanted to grab the opportunity and run, to finally leave behind the nights that had taken so much from her. But another part whispered caution. Nothing in her life had ever come this easily. Why now? She looked up at the man, searching his face for answers she wasn't sure existed. "What happens if I say no?" she asked quietly. He didn't hesitate. "Then you walk away, and your life continues the way it always has." His response was simple, but it carried a truth she couldn't ignore. There would be no second offer. This was her moment. Zainab picked up the file again, her fingers moving slowly over the pages. She saw training programs, job placements, even accommodation details. It was more than an escape, it was a structured path forward. Something she had never had before. For a brief moment, she allowed herself to imagine it. Waking up in a clean room. Working a normal job. Living without fear. The image felt distant, almost unreal. But it also felt peaceful. And that peace was something she hadn't felt in years. Just as hope began to rise, memories followed. Faces, voices, nights she wished she could forget. The life she had lived wasn't something she could simply erase. It had shaped her, hardened her, taught her how to survive. "What if I can't change?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man's expression softened slightly. "Change isn't about forgetting who you were," he said. "It's about choosing who you become." His words settled into her mind, quiet but powerful. Zainab stood up slowly, walking toward the small window in the room. Outside, the compound remained silent, almost frozen in time. She placed her hand on the glass, staring into the darkness beyond. "I've tried to leave before," she admitted. "It never worked." Her voice carried a weight of past failures. The man didn't respond immediately. "That's because you tried alone," he said. "This time, you won't be." That difference felt important, yet still uncertain. Trust was not something Zainab gave easily. It had been broken too many times, by too many people. Promises had come and gone, leaving her with nothing but lessons and scars. She turned back to him. "How do I know this isn't another trap?" she asked. The man met her gaze calmly. "You don't," he replied. "You just decide if the risk is worth it." That honesty caught her off guard. He wasn't trying to convince her, he was leaving the decision entirely in her hands. Time seemed to slow down in the room. Zainab could feel it slipping away, each second pushing her closer to a decision she couldn't avoid. The longer she waited, the heavier everything felt. She sat back down, her eyes returning to the envelope on the table. It looked small, almost insignificant, but it held something powerful. A chance. A risk. A future. She took a deep breath, steadying herself for what came next. Slowly, Zainab reached out and picked up the envelope. Her hands were steady this time, her expression focused. Whatever this was, she was no longer running from it. She opened it carefully, revealing a stack of money and a small card with an address. Her heart skipped a beat. This was real. Not a promise, not a story, something she could hold. Something she could use. Zainab looked up immediately. "This isn't free," she said. The man nodded slightly. "No, it's not." Her body tensed again. "What do you want me to do?" she asked. This was the moment she had been expecting, the hidden cost, the real reason behind everything. The man leaned forward slightly. "You leave tonight," he said. "No goodbyes. No looking back. You disappear from your old life completely." His condition was simple, but heavy. Zainab's chest tightened. "Leave everything? Just like that? No closure, no explanations, no final moments." It felt cruel, but also necessary. She thought about the people she knew, the places she had been, the life she had built out of survival. Letting go meant losing everything, but also freeing herself from it. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. "If I do this, there's no going back, right?" she asked. The man shook his head. "No going back." Zainab closed her eyes for a moment, letting the silence surround her. Fear was still there, but it no longer controlled her. For the first time, something stronger stood beside it, hope. She opened her eyes and looked at him. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll do it." The words felt heavy, but also freeing. In that moment, Zainab realized something important. This wasn't just the end of her last night. It was the beginning of a completely different life. Chapter 31, Leaving the Night Behind. Zainab stood still for a moment after making her decision, as if her body needed time to catch up with her words. The room felt different now, lighter, yet heavier at the same time. She wasn't just agreeing to an offer, she was stepping into something unknown. The life she had known, no matter how painful, had at least been familiar. The man nodded once, as if he had been expecting her answer. "Then we don't waste time," he said. "You leave tonight." Zainab swallowed hard, gripping the envelope tightly. There would be no dramatic goodbye, no final walk through the streets she once called survival. Just a quiet exit. And somehow, that made it feel more real. The car engine came alive again, breaking the silence of the compound. Zainab sat in the passenger seat, her mind racing as they drove out through the gate. This time, the road felt different, not because it had changed, but because she had. She looked out the window, watching Lagos pass by in fragments, streetlights, shadows, distant movement. This city had shaped her, tested her, and nearly broken her. Now, she was leaving it behind without knowing if she would ever return. The thought was both painful and freeing. After a long drive, the car slowed down in front of a modest but clean building in a quieter part of the city. It wasn't luxurious, but it wasn't broken either. It looked stable. "This is where you start," the man said. Zainab stepped out slowly, her eyes scanning the surroundings. There were a few lights on, a sense of life, but no chaos. No danger. Just calm. For someone like her, that calm felt unfamiliar. Inside, the room she was given was small but neat. A bed, a chair, a window, simple things she hadn't appreciated in years. Zainab stood in the middle of the room, unsure of what to do next. For the first time in a long while, there was nothing expected of her. No role to play, no mask to wear. Just silence. She sat on the bed slowly, staring at her hands, as if they belonged to someone else. This was her new beginning, but it didn't feel real yet. Zainab woke up to something she hadn't experienced in years: peaceful silence. No loud music, no shouting, no tension in the air. Just the soft light of morning filtering through the window. She sat up slowly, almost expecting the night to return. But it didn't. The memory of the previous night came rushing back, and with it, the reality of her decision. She was no longer that person. Or at least, she was trying not to be. The first few hours of her new day felt strange. Zainab didn't know what to do with herself. She wasn't used to having time that wasn't controlled by survival. She walked around the room, touching small things: the chair, the window frame, the clean sheets. It all felt unfamiliar. "This is real," she whispered to herself, trying to believe it. But deep down, she knew the real challenge hadn't even started yet. Later that day, a woman arrived to meet her. She introduced herself as someone who would guide Zainab through her transition. Her tone was calm, but firm. "You're starting over," the woman said. "But starting over is not easy. You'll have to unlearn a lot." Zainab listened quietly. She knew this wouldn't be simple. Change never was. As the day went on, Zainab found herself drifting back into her thoughts. Memories came without warning: faces, voices, moments she wished she could erase. She sat by the window, staring outside. Can people really leave their past behind? She wondered aloud. The question had no easy answer. Because no matter where she went, her past still lived inside her. That night, Zainab struggled to sleep. The silence that once felt peaceful now felt loud. Her mind refused to rest, replaying everything she had left behind. Fear returned, but it was different now. It wasn't fear of danger. It was fear of failure. What if she couldn't change? What if she didn't belong in this new life? The question stayed with her as the night stretched on. Morning came again, and with it, a quiet sense of clarity. Zainab stood by the window, watching the world slowly come to life. Something inside her had shifted. She wasn't fully free yet. She wasn't fully healed. But she had taken the first step, and that mattered. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe something simple but powerful. Maybe, just maybe, her life could be different. Zainab had just begun to settle into her new routine when something unexpected happened. As she stepped outside the building one afternoon, her eyes caught a familiar figure across the street. Her heart skipped. It was someone from her old life, someone who wasn't supposed to find her. She quickly turned away, pretending not to notice, but her mind was already racing. How did they find her? She had followed every instruction: no contact, no traces. Yet somehow, the past had found a crack in her new beginning. And now, it was watching. That evening, Zainab couldn't shake the feeling of being followed. Every sound made her alert, every movement caught her attention. The safety she had started to feel began to fade. She closed the door tightly behind her and leaned against it, her breathing uneven. "I left that life," she whispered. But deep down, she knew something painful. Leaving didn't always mean escaping. Sometimes, the past waited, patiently. The next morning, she found a note slipped under her door. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. There were only a few words written on it. "You can't run forever." Her chest tightened instantly. This wasn't random. This was targeted. Someone knew exactly who she was, and where she had been. And now, they were reminding her that her past wasn't done with her. Zainab sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the note as if it might explain itself. The fear she thought she had left behind slowly returned, wrapping around her like a shadow. She thought about leaving again, disappearing somewhere else. But how long would she keep running? The truth was hard to accept. This wasn't just about escape anymore. This was something she might have to face. Zainab went looking for the man who had helped her, but he wasn't there. No one seemed to know where he was or when he would return. That made things worse. She felt alone again, like she had stepped into something she didn't fully understand. Why now? She asked herself. Just when things started to feel stable, everything was shifting again. And this time, she didn't know who to trust. Later that day, the woman guiding her finally spoke. Her expression was serious, different from before. "We knew this might happen," she said. Zainab's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" The woman sighed softly. "Leaving that life isn't just about walking away. There are people who don't let go easily." The words hit hard. This wasn't over. It had never been. Zainab learned something she hadn't expected. The man who helped her wasn't just helping randomly. He had a past connected to the streets, to people who controlled lives like hers. "He's helped others escape," the woman explained. "But not everyone likes that." Suddenly, everything made sense. This wasn't just her story. It was bigger than her. Zainab stood still, processing everything. This wasn't just about starting a new life. It was about stepping out of a system that didn't want her to leave. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. The woman looked at her carefully. "Now, you decide if you keep running, or if you stand your ground." That choice felt heavier than anything before. That night, Zainab sat alone, thinking deeply. Fear was still there, but something else had grown stronger. She wasn't the same person she had been before. She had survived too much to break now. Slowly, she stood up, her expression changing. "I'm not going back," she said firmly. For the first time, her voice carried power, not fear. Morning came with a different energy. Zainab felt it immediately. Something inside her had shifted completely. She was no longer just running from her past, she was ready to face it. She stepped outside with a new sense of purpose. Whatever was coming next, she would not hide from it. This was no longer just about survival. This was about taking control of her life. Zainab stood in the quiet room, listening carefully as the woman explained what needed to be done. This was no longer about hiding, it was about confronting the people who had been watching her. There was a system behind everything, a network that kept girls like her trapped. And now, she had unknowingly stepped outside of it. "We can protect you," the woman said, "but you have to trust the process." Zainab nodded slowly. Trust still felt dangerous, but she had come too far to turn back now. If she wanted true freedom, she had to face what was chasing her. Running was no longer an option. That night, Zainab couldn't sleep. The fear was still there, but it had changed. It wasn't paralyzing anymore, it was sharpening her. She found herself thinking clearly, planning, preparing. She stood by the window, staring into the darkness. "I'm not the same girl anymore," she whispered to herself. And for the first time, she believed it. Whatever was coming, she wouldn't face it as a victim. The next day, another message came, but this time, it wasn't hidden. A stranger approached her briefly and handed her a phone with a single message displayed. "Come alone if you want this to end." Her heart raced as she read it. This was it. The moment everything had been building toward. Zainab showed the message to the woman, expecting resistance. But instead, she received a calm response. "We expected this," she said. "You won't be alone, even if they think you are." Zainab took a deep breath. This was dangerous. But it was also necessary. If she didn't face this now, it would follow her forever. The location was quiet, just like the compound from that first night. Zainab stepped forward slowly, her eyes scanning every detail. She could feel the tension in the air. Then she saw them, figures from her past. People who had once controlled her choices, her movements, her life. Her heart pounded, but she didn't step back this time. "You thought you could leave?" one of them said, their voice cold. Zainab stood her ground, her expression steady. "I didn't just leave," she replied. "I chose something better." Her voice didn't shake. And in that moment, something shifted. She was no longer under their control. Before things could escalate, movement surrounded the area. The people who had been watching her stepped in, revealing themselves as part of a larger effort to break the system she had been trapped in. Zainab realized then that she had been part of something bigger all along. This wasn't just about saving her, it was about ending the cycle for others too. The confrontation ended without violence, but with something stronger: exposure. The system that once controlled her began to collapse under pressure. Zainab stood there, watching it unfold. Years of fear, silence, and control were finally breaking. And she had been part of that change. Days later, Zainab returned to the same building, but this time, she felt different. Stronger. Clearer. She made a decision. "I want to help others leave too," she said. Her journey wasn't just about escape anymore. It was about purpose. Zainab stood under the morning sun, far from the nights that once defined her. The city still moved, still lived, but she was no longer lost in it. Her last client had changed everything. And as she walked forward into her new life, she smiled softly, because this wasn't the end of her story. It was just the beginning.